then she's by her voice part.
Attend the piano.
Either that, or we make sure that we make a better setup for next week.
Ask her about it. She says she gets a call every week. She takes it first every Sunday.
Oh, yep. Let's see.
She's
Good morning, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Arlington. My name is Barbara Bazell, and I'm a grateful member of the Board of Trustees. Today is Sunday, October 29th. Whether this is your first time or you're joining us for your regular Sunday morning destination, we're glad you're here. UUCA is a church of radical love and acceptance, open to people of all backgrounds, races, genders, sexual orientations, disabilities, and abilities, both seen and unseen. At UUCA, we encourage people to come for community, find inspiration, and live with purpose. At the earlier service, I talked about the auction almost entirely, so please don't forget to go back and talk to the valiant group of volunteers who are spearheading our services auction. But I also would like to talk about or remember on this Remembrance Day, my mother. I often think of her when I get ready for church and think she might say, well, it's a navy dress, you should have navy pumps. Because she was the gal that had the bag and the pumps and the right dress. She was also the gal who showed up, and when no one in the room would run the services, the rummage sale at church, my mother did. When someone was needed to be a deacon, my mother did it. Not because she thought she should be there, but because she knew that somebody should be there, and she was going to be the one. I'm grateful for the experiences and love that my mother shared with me, because I feel it every day, and I'm grateful to share it with you.
Barbara, thank you so much for that welcome and for welcoming your mother into the space as well with us today. It is a joy to be together on Remembrance Sunday, which is sometimes a day filled with our experiences of loss and those we miss. And it is also a day filled with love and the memories created and held in this community. I'm Reverend Amanda Poppy. I'm honored to serve as senior minister here at UUCA. My pronouns are she and her, and I'd like to introduce you to the rest of our worship team this morning. Betsy Rosso is our worship associate. Betsy's pronouns are she and they. You have already heard our wonderful choir, which, despite what it sounded like, does not include snakes and birds, but only fantastic people. They are joined today by Fred on drums and Topher on stick, and led by Jen, our interim music director, who uses she, her pronouns. As always, I want to give a shout out to Cameron and Art, who are in the back offering our AV support, and to hold that our worship team really is all of you here in this sanctuary and watching at home. You especially today are helping to create our worship service together. So whether you are here in your regular clothes or with a cape or a witch hat or a hot dog costume, you are very welcome here. I want to invite you now to turn to each other, especially to someone that you haven't met yet, and say good morning. invite all of our witches and goblins and other assorted beings to take your seats now. It is indeed, and our superheroes, our Lego Ninjago superheroes, maybe? Yes. I got it. It is good to be together in every form that we take this morning. We are joined this morning by Unitarian Universalist congregations really all across the country who are celebrating their Remembrance Sunday. On this Sunday closest to Samhain, the Celtic ritual, the timing when the veil between the living and the dead is said to be at the thinnest. This Sunday closest to All Souls Day and All Saints Day in the Christian liturgy. This Sunday closest to Dia de los Muertos, celebrated in Mexico and in other countries, and of course here in the United States. So joining our sibling congregations, I share words from another congregation celebrating their Remembrance Sunday today. These are from my colleague Gretchen Haley, who serves in Fort Collins, Colorado, and who invites us in to the turning. The turning happens slowly and then all at once. The turning from green to orange to brittle and then born into grass and compost, from toddlers to teenagers, middle age to memory, from home to hurt, peace to war. Nothing is happening and then everything. Small, singular breaths become whole lifetimes. The chill becomes frost, becomes snow, until the reservoir is filled and we drink and play and do it all again. We make here an offering of our attention. We give our thoughts over and our breath. We remember ourselves in time present and changing, becoming, and letting go. We remember a greater story of time, stardust to soil, flesh to freedom, the sacrifice of ancestors, and the struggle, persistence, and presence that made our lives possible, our time in the turning. We are called here to our own courage, bolstered by community and laughter, singing and stories, to dream of a wider justice, a deeper joy, to make the world anew. Come, let us worship together.
Each week, we light our candle of compassion for all those within our congregation and throughout the world experiencing struggle, sorrow, or fear. We offer compassion to those of us dealing with pain, both physical and emotional, to those of us who are grieving the loss of a loved one or the unbearable loss of many loved ones or entire communities. We offer compassion to those of us whose lives will be forever changed because of the senseless, violent actions of others. We offer compassion to those of us who are lonely or unsure of themselves or uncertain about our future. We offer compassion to those of us whose identities are threatened instead of celebrated. We offer compassion to those of us made to feel anything less than the wonderful and worthy souls that we are. We send abundant love and light and deep hope for peace and justice to all people and communities in need of compassion. Please join me in our chalice lighting words. I will speak the first 2 lines, and I invite you to join me for the last 4 lines, which are printed in your order of service. We gather together as a community of memory and hope to celebrate life and its infinite possibilities for love. We light this chalice as a symbol of the light within every human heart. May our individual sparks meet and merge, bringing both light and warmth to the world.
Friends, I invite you to join and rise in body or in spirit as we sing hymn number 336 in your gray hymnals. I have some friends who are joining me to help tell the story this morning. Amelia and Felix are going to come over here to the podium so that they can share parts of the story. But if there are other friends of this height-ish who would like to be part of helping tell the story, I have some other things I could use help with. Would anybody like to help with that? Come on up, if so. Come right on up. Come on up to the chancel. Perfect. And I'm going to ask you to help me out here. Gaston, will you hold this owl? Will you hold this bear? We're going to say this is a squirrel, okay? You can ask if she'll trade. I need someone to hold a... Well, it's actually a quokka from Australia, but don't worry about that. A bunny. Would you hold this mouse? And then, yes, let's see. I'm going to need someone. Yes, please. And somebody taller for this one. And then, what do you think, Myrtil? Would you like to help? You want to? Yes. Maybe, Myrtil, could you be a helper with our little friend here? And then just feel free to come on. Okay, and maybe you could be a helper here. Okay, now, let's see. If you can all, put your, I think maybe sit down. Everybody sit down. And then I'm going to ask you to stand. I'm going to tap your head, really, just like this, and then you'll stand when I tap your head. What do you think? I think it's going to work great. This is a story called The Memory Tree. There was once a fox who lived with all the other animals in the forest. Fox had lived a long and happy life, but now he was very tired. Very slowly, Fox made his way to his favorite spot in the clearing. He looked at his beloved forest one last time and lay down. Fox closed his eyes and fell asleep forever. Everything around Fox was still and peaceful. Snow began to fall, gently covering him with a soft blanket.
Fox from the top of his tree. He flew down and landed next to his friend. Owl was very sad. He had known Fox for a long time, but Owl knew that the time had come for his friend to leave.
Perfect. Sit down.
One by one, Fox's friends came to the clearing. First Squirrel and Weasel, then Bear, Deer, and Bird, and finally Rabbit, Mouse, and others came to sit by Fox.
Fox had been loved by everyone. He had been kind and caring. No one could imagine life in the forest without him. The animals sat in silence for a very long time.
Owl was the first to speak. Can you hold Owl up for us? He smiled warmly and said, "I remember when Fox and I were very young. Every autumn we raced to see who could catch more falling leaves." The other animals remembered and smiled.
Mouse said softly, "I remember how much Fox loved the sunset. He always sat at this exact spot." The animals remembered. Many of them had joined Fox, watching the sun go down. It was a happy memory, and their sad hearts filled with warmth.
Bear remembered how Fox had looked after her cubs one spring. Rabbit smiled when she told the story of how Fox had played tag with her in the tall grass. Squirrel talked about Fox helping him dig up berry nuts in the deep snow last winter. One by one, the animals remembered their favorite stories about Fox. Fox had helped all the animals in the forest with his warmth and kindness. They all smiled, remembering.
While the animals talked, a little orange plant grew out of the snow where Fox was lying. Hold it up high for us. Small and delicate at first and hardly noticeable, the plant grew bigger, stronger, and more beautiful with every story.
The animals talked about Fox all through the night, and in the morning the little plant had grown into a small tree. The animals saw the tree and knew that Fox was still a part of them.
During the next days, weeks, and months, the animals remembered remembered many more stories about Fox. Their heavy hearts began to feel lighter. The more they remembered, the more the tree grew, higher and higher and more beautiful.
Bring it up really high.
Until it was the tallest tree in the forest, a tree made from memories and full of love.
Fox's tree was big and strong enough to shelter all the animals. It was buzzing with life. The birds built their nests among the leaves, and Owl raised his grand chicks on the branches. Squirrel found a cozy home in the trunk, and Bear, Deer, and Rabbit slept in its shade. The tree gave strength to everyone who had loved Fox.
And so, Fox lived on in their hearts forever. The end.
It's a little sad, right? Thank you so much. Thank you so much to my storytellers who helped me tell this story. As Abby said, it's a little sad, right? Why does it have to be so sad? It starts with, well, why don't you all go back to your grown-ups?
Foxes are supposed to hibernate, like that could have been hibernate.
It could have been. It is a sad story. Oh, thank you so much, Sam. It is a sad story. Well, the animals, it's a sad story that begins with the saddest part. I really like that you noticed that. It begins with the saddest part, and then over the story, as the tree grows and the animals remember, they begin to not feel sad, they still feel sad, but there's something else there too in their hearts. And that's part of what we create together here on our Remembrance Sunday, when we come in sometimes holding in our hearts the saddest part, and together we help to create something else too. Something else that looks like love, yeah. So we are here in our sad part of Sunday to create something more together.
UUCA is part of a global network that partners with the United Nations to support and advocate for international human rights, peace, and climate justice. A key part of this work is promoting the inherent worth and dignity of all people and our planet. We have all been touched by the horrors of war unfolding in the Middle East. The people living in the Gaza Strip, half of whom are children, are endangered by violence and facing unimaginable loss on a daily basis. Children's education icon Mr. Rogers said, "When I was a boy and would see scary things in the news, my mother would say to me, 'Look for the helpers. You will always find people who are helping.'" In the midst of war, the United Nations Children's Fund, commonly known as UNICEF, is the UN agency focused on helping the children. As we honor United Nations Sunday, today's offering will be sent to UNICEF's dedicated fund for the children in Gaza. Several ways to contribute to today's offering are printed in your order of service or will appear on your screen if you're watching online. Will the ushers please come forward to collect the offering? Please join me in blessing our offering. I will speak the first two lines, and I invite you to join in for the remaining lines, which are printed in your order of service. We bless and receive these gifts, opening our hearts to true generosity. Let us be grateful when we give, be it time, talent, or treasure. Let us be grateful for our needs and the experience of vulnerability. Let us be grateful for those who share their gifts to nurture this congregation. Thank you. When I first discovered Unitarian Universalism, my experience with worship services was in Methodist and Presbyterian churches and Jewish temples. So one aspect of UU Church that I immediately embraced was how we draw from many sources of wisdom, not just the Torah or the Talmud or the Bible. And one of my favorite sources of wisdom, often used in UU services, is Mary Oliver's poetry. So this is In Blackwater Woods by Mary Oliver. Look, the trees are turning their own bodies into pillars of light, are giving off the rich fragrance of cinnamon and fulfillment. The long tapers of cattails are bursting and floating away over the blue shoulders of the ponds. And every pond, no matter what its name, is nameless now. Every year, everything I have ever learned in my lifetime leads back to this: the fires and the black river of loss, whose other side is salvation, whose meaning none of us will ever know. To live in this world, you must be able to do three things: to love what is mortal, to hold it against your bones, knowing your own life depends on it, and when the time comes to let it go, to let it go.
Thank you so much for that beautiful poem, Betsy, which is a favorite of mine as well. I might, though, add one more thing to Mary Oliver's list: to love what is mortal, to hold it against our bones, knowing how we depend on it, to let it go, and then, perhaps, to remember. To remember to tell the stories, to gather together so that the stories are handed down. In our story this morning, which did begin with the saddest part, we watched as the animals gathered in the forest to tell the stories of Fox, their beloved friend. At a memorial service once, the widow came up to me even before the service had begun. She had been waiting in a separate room before the service, surrounded by family who had come in for the occasion. Siblings and stepchildren and cousins. And she said to me, I didn't realize how much it would matter to have them all here. I knew it would be nice to see them, but I didn't understand what it would feel like to have gathered. We gather, whether in a forest or in a sanctuary, sitting Shiva in someone's home or at a cemetery as we remember and honor our ancestors. We gather not just because our individual memories are spoken and held, but because the community that we create together, the container that we build when we gather, is big enough to hold the sad parts and also the love. The love that is built when we light candles, when we name names, when we sing songs, and when we tell stories. On this Remembrance Sunday, I know that some of us may be coming holding losses that are fresh and raw. Some of us are coming holding losses that are old, that we have carried with us for many years, making a scar on our hearts. We may be carrying the loss of someone that we knew and loved, a grandparent, a sibling, a pet, a friend, or we may be holding two community losses as we mourn those killed by violence in this country and abroad. And yet, with all those sad parts, the love we build today will be big enough to hold it. We have lit on our altars this morning a few of the lights that were lit at our 9:15 service, bringing forward all of the names that were held and spoken at that service. In a moment, I'll invite you, as you wish and as you will, to move to the back of the sanctuary, to pick up a candle that our ushers are lighting now. There are candles with flame and a few battery-operated candles, if you prefer, and to bring those candles forward to place them on our altars. Betsy and I will also each be at one of these altars, these tables, and we'll have a microphone with us if you would like to speak aloud the name of the person you are remembering. Together, in just a moment, we will hold the names, hold the love, and hold the light. First, I invite you to join in creating a sacred space, a space full enough of the spirit of life, fuente de amor, to hold all that we have to bring. Will you sing with us?
Shape of justice, roots hold me close, wings set me free, Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Friends who are at home, I invite you now to light a candle in your own house. If you would like assistance with a candle being brought forward, please raise your hand and an usher will come and support you with that. I invite you now, as you will, to move to the back of the sanctuary, to bring your candles forward on the side aisles, and then to return to your seats through the middle or far sides. Do you want to say a name?
My
Avis
parents,
King
Elton
Wilson.
and Mae Brown.
Ed Lannon.
Anthony Crawford.
Ann Curran and her wonderful sisters Lottie
Uncle John.
and Ree.
Virginia Alburn.
Bill Renster.
My grandma.
My mom.
William Zachary.
Dale Franklin Adair.
For my dad. For my dad, Ted Crawford.
Jen Kaplan.
Leon Vasquez.
My brother Dennis.
Arlene Helen Olson.
My mother.
Rosemary and Tommy Feeney.
And my wife.
My father, Roy Huffman.
Grace Kirsch.
My parents, Carol Mae Smith and Charles Allen Herndon.
Oh, Mom? Okay, we'll wait for her.
My cat Miranda.
My mom, Doris.
Aunt Sally and Uncle Bob.
Okay, just
My
keep
mother,
eyes.
Florence, and my father, Harold.
Victor, Dorothy.
Tanya's dad.
John Benson.
My hamster.
My parents.
My grandparents.
My parents, Rose and Charles Revan.
My neighbor Avis.
My great grandmother Doris and my hamster.
Rose and May and Bob.
My grandfather Norman and my father-in-law Maximo.
My cousin Ethan.
My departed wife, Dorothy Mulligan, who died on August 6th of last year.
Would you like to pass this down? There you go.
Regina, Dragos, and Yasmin.
Don't crash. There you go.
My father, Maximo Salinas.
Otis Johnson.
My late wife, Carol, gone 17 years, and I still can't believe it.
My neighbor, Lori.
My dad and brother.
Bill and Joanne Bigland.
My stepsister, Christine Young, passed last week.
My mother-in-law, Ruthie, and my brother, Olin.
My brother Ted, my mother and my father.
My parents.
My bio mother, who had me in the Salvation Army. May her soul have let go of the guilt she kept trying to express.
My mother, Sherry, and my uncle, Eddie.
My brother, Charlie, and my grandparents.
And my parents and my brother.
My Uncle Charlie.
Papa.
My son Charlie and my parents.
My assistant principal, Miss Santiago.
Her grandparents, parents, aunts and uncles, and Charlie.
My mother, Naomi.
Thank you, Nathan.
My mother, Emma, and my father, Levi, passed 30 years ago, continues to be my guiding light.
My friend, Catherine Beck, my grandfather, and my mother-in-law.
For my sister, who died 2 years ago yesterday.
My great-grandfather.
My husband, Ronald, and my parents, Alan and Elizabeth.
For my husband, Brent, and my dad's and my grandparents.
My great-grandma, Double D.
My musician friend, Jim Gish.
My great-grandma, Grandma Stemple.
My brothers Robert and John.
For my friend Jeremy.
Dennis Paul Johnson.
My sister Janet.
My sister, my parents, and the rest of my family. Thank you.
My cousin Mark.
My mother, Ruth, and my cousin, Dan.
Grandma.
Yeah, Grandma. I'll put it down.
FG, Nana, and Papa.
Diane, will you bring forward a last candle? We place a candle on the table for all the names still unsaid, for the losses we hold in our heart, the losses that may be hard to name. Thank you. I invite you to take a breath in this moment, in this gathered space. Stories sad and stories loving. Spirit of life and love, Fuente de amor. May our love grow bigger and bigger. May our sadness be held with tenderness. And may we know that the love and the sadness sit side by side in our hearts, and that together in this gathered community, we create a place big enough for the grief, for the stories, for the light, and for the love. May it be so this year and every year as the stories and the years turn. I invite you now to sing into this gathered community for our ancestors and for each other. Will you rise in body or in spirit and join in hymn 163, For the Earth Forever Turning?
Please join me in these words as we extinguish our chalice. We extinguish this chalice, but not the light and warmth it represents. These we carry with us, bringing our sparks of love to the world.
Friends, our candles will remain lit in the sanctuary, and I invite you to take the time that you would like and need to be present with the faces, the stories, the light of our ancestors, of those we love and lost. May this be a place where we pass the Kleenex and offer a hug if it is desired, a place where we tell the stories and where we remember that love lives alongside the sadness. May it be so. Amen.
And the burdens I've